Hello. So today we are going to learn a very specific method of how to draw animals. Um, this method involves breaking the figure of the animal down into its basic shapes and drawing those basic shapes. So what we're going to do before we get started is I want to give you a breakdown of what those shapes are. So I would encourage you to do this along with me so that you can have it beside you if you are drawing your animals, that you can look at that and use it as a reference guide. So we start with just the three most basic shapes, okay? The circle, the triangle, and the square. Now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start to draw my circle right over here. We need to start from the inside and work our way out when we are doing these shapes. It gives us a little bit more control, and we can kind of gauge where we are going with our shape and be a little bit more precise in what we're doing and where we are going. Okay, so there is my circle. I'm going to get a different color and I'm going to draw my next shape, which is going to be my triangle. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm actually going to start here in the middle and work my way out. And kind of fill in as I go along. Just like this. Okay, so now I have my triangle, and the last basic shape that I am going to draw is a square. Same thing, I'm going to start right here in the middle. And I'm going to work out. All right, so we now have our three basic shapes, our circle, our triangle, and our square. And we are going to use these to create other shapes. So I'm going to start right here with my circle. And I'm just going to draw myself a little line down here. So if we have a circle, from our circle, we can shape an oval. So when you make this oval, just like you did with your first three shapes, you want to work from the center outward until you get a nice oval shape. There we go. Okay. So there is our oval. And if we take our oval and we change it just a little bit, the next thing we are going to make is going to be an egg shape. Again, I'm going to start in the middle and build from the middle out. So with your egg shape, remember you're going to be wide on one end on the bottom and a little bit more narrow on the top. So keep that in mind as you are working from your center point. Okay. Make my egg a little bit darker here, a little bit bigger. Okay. So now the last thing we are going to do with our circle here is we are going to take our circle and we're going to turn it into a teardrop shape. So with our teardrop shape, again, we're going to start from the middle. And with our egg, we have more of a rounded end. With our teardrop shape, it's going to be more of a pointed end. All right. So there we have 4 basic shapes that we can use when we are drawing our animals that are rounded in form. Let's go ahead and let's go to our middle now. And we're going to kind of smash the top of our triangle down. And it's going to be more of a trapezoid shape. Okay, so then we have a slightly trapezoid shape. We're going to take our trapezoid and we're going to push it in now. And we're going to turn it into a pear shape. And again, always starting from the middle. So with a pear shape, we have kind of a rounded bit on the top. And then it's going to be wider at the bottom. And then the larger rounded part down here at the bottom. And then finally, we're going to take our pear shape and we're going to bend it and we're going to make it into a bean. And again, working from the middle, so we can make that into a bean shape. All right, so now we have our different shapes from our triangle. So the last one that we are going to do is our square. So from our square, one of the first things that we are going to be able to get is going to be a rectangle. Okay, so we're going to take our square that we have here and we're going to push it in to the sides and make a rectangle. Again, always working from our middle out. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do, we're actually going to do 3 different things with this rectangle. We are going to make a short cylinder. So this is what that's going to look like. It's going to be flat on our bottom. And then we're going to have a rounded spot up here at the top, like a cylinder. So it gives it a short cylinder shape. The next one we're going to do a long skinny cylinder. It's going to look a lot like that rectangle, except it's going to be rounded at the top, flat at the bottom, and rounded at the top. So it looks like it has a little bit of dimension. All right, then the last one we're going to do here, it reminds me kind of a noodle, of a macaroni noodle. So we're going to take our cylinder that we made here, and we're just going to kind of bend it a little. It really does remind me of a macaroni noodle. Kind of similar to our bean too. But for this one, again, it's going to be flat on the bottom, unlike our bean. And it's going to be a little bit rounded here on the top. All right, so that gives us some basic shapes that we can use to draw our animals. So it's a good idea to do this exercise first, and then keep this beside you as a reference, so that you can start to draw your animals. So that's what I'm going to show you next. Okay, so now we have some basic shapes to work with. We are going to draw 3 different animals, and so make sure that you have this guide close by you. And the first animal we are going to draw is going to be a rabbit. Okay, so I want you to look at our page here and see if you can pick out some shapes that we could use for our rabbit. Okay, so I'm going to actually state over here with these, I'm going to use a circle, I'm going to use an oval, and I'm going to use the teardrop shape. So let's see how that works out. So the first thing, even when I'm drawing my animals, I'm going to start in the middle of my page and work out. Okay, and I'm going to start with the oval. So I'm going to draw my oval right here in the center. And that oval is going to make up the body of our rabbit. Okay, so now we have his little body, and I'm going to draw his head now. So I'm going to use a circle for his head. Let's start in the middle here. So here is his little head. If I need to adjust that, always I can. So what other things do rabbits have? Well, we need 2 long ears. So this is where I am going to use a teardrop shape right here. And put those in his head. Make them a little longer. And some of these shapes overlap a little bit. That's okay. In fact, that's probably a good thing. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop before his ears get bigger than his body. All right, so I'm going to come in here now and I'm going to use another oval right here for his front paw. Okay. Right there, there's his front paw. And I also need that back paw. Now, if you've ever seen a back paw on a rabbit, it kind of comes through here. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm actually going to use my egg shape this time. So, and I'm going to bring that, I'm using a little darker color. So the difference there kind of shows up a little. And I'm going to use that darker color to highlight as well when I am done here. But I want you to be able to see where his backlight comes in. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to add just a few details, another color in here to kind of even out what I've done back here. Okay. All right. So that's a real easy way to draw a rabbit. Obviously, you can, as you go along, add in other details, add in more details, put fur in or other things. So you don't have to just stop there. You know, use these shapes as a base for which to jump off of. Okay, I'm going to do one more right here. I'm going to do an owl. And for my owl, I'm going to use an egg and an oval. So I'm going to make his body as an egg. Okay, and then I'm going to make his head right here, which is an oval sitting on its side. So there's his body and his head. I'm going to use 2 more ovals, small ovals here on either side for his wings. Okay, so there's our little owl. And we can also actually use some more shapes here. We can use that triangle shape if you've ever seen an owl with his horns, right? his little feather horns. You can add some triangles to give him some feather horns. You can add a triangle down here for his beak. That color's a little harder to see. There we go. That's a little better. So you can add a triangle for his mouth right there as well. And again, you can draw these a lot bigger and you can use a lot more details, but by breaking the animal down into its basic shapes, it really gives us a good starting point. So I'm going to do one more animal today, and this time I'm actually going to use my macaroni noodle. So this one's kind of easy. So starting in the center, I'm going to make my macaroni noodle right out here. I'm going to make him kind of long. Okay. There we go. All right, so we have just the basic macaroni noodle, but we need something else. We're gonna have to put a triangle at the bottom. So that's our other shape. And I bet you're starting to guess what this is. The next shape that I am going to use is I'm going to put a teardrop shape right up here. And there we have our little snake. Okay. So we have just a really simple snake there, but even with our snake, right, we used 3 different shapes. We used our teardrop, we used our kind of noodle shape, and we used our triangle. So these are just 3 smaller examples. I would encourage you to do these bigger, put in some more details, but the important thing that I want you to take away from this is you can use these basic shapes in order to make all kinds of different animals. And if you're struggling with drawing those animals, break them down into shapes. When you're looking at them, don't look at the whole, look for the shapes, and then see if you can find the shapes here and recreate those on your paper. All right, so I hope that this helps you a little bit, and it helps you to improve your drawing a little bit. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.